Hello, I am back. I am alive. I'm so sorry. I took a break for December. I took a break and I didn't really make that very clear. No, I didn't. I'm so sorry. But I'm here. I'm alive. Hello. And I'm gonna try and go back to my normal schedule and keep things going. I usually try to not sit on a wall that I share with my neighbor when I'm sitting here talking to myself, but this is where I wanted to sit. Because I managed to hang this sheet up and it looks kind of cool. Also, my outfit today, it's technically yesterday's outfit, but I put it on again because I thought you'd want to see this. I did purple and green, and I did take a better video of it, so that's that. So today I thought I would do a video talking about favorite albums by non-favorite artists. So, why are you gonna drive so loud? Shh. Shh. Quiet. Go to sleep, little trucks. So I want to talk about favorite albums by non-favorite artists. So the albums in this list are albums that I do consider favorites, but I don't consider the artists favorite artists. For a lot of them, this is the only album of theirs I know, or the only one that I know well. If you'd asked me this question a year ago, there probably would have been several more albums on this list. But those bands are kind of like, I think they're more leaning towards like this could be a favorite now. I would consider them favorites at this point. So this changes, and who knows, maybe a year from now. No, because all of the pretty much everything in this pile has been in this pile for a long time. So I don't see these particular albums changing for the most part. A couple of them might, but most of them are just going to stay in this category. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. First up is Away from the Sun by Three Doors Down. I love this album. I grew up listening to this album. My favorite song on this album has changed a few times. When I was a kid, I listened to Here Without You obsessively. And then at some point, Ticket to Heaven was my favorite song, and it's changed a couple of times. I do really like Ticket to Heaven, though. I think it's a pretty solid song, so this one. I do know a few other songs by Three Doors Down, and I do love them, but this is the album. It's the album. Next up, we have Boys Like Girls, self-titled album. I need to listen to this more. I have been through patches where I would listen to this album on repeat, and despite that, I haven't listened to other things by this band, aside from this album, which I picked up in an op shop a long time ago. I'm not sure what my favorite song off this would be, but I think it's probably Broken Man because of the end bit. I really like that end bit. Took one big step and I looked away, and then I thought of all the things that I wanted to say. I'm always too late, you never got your story straight, I'm always up late, I think I'm everything you hate. Next up is Forever Blue by Chris Isaak. This is such a good album. It's so good. A lot of you probably aren't going to relate to that, but I love this, and the songs on it is just so good. I really love his voice. He has a nice voice. I like it. Okay, I don't know if I have a favorite song on this one, but I do really like Going Nowhere, because it's kind of fun. It's just kind of fun. Next, we have Daughtry's self-titled album, which I love this album. I have loved this album since I was given it, and despite that, have I gone looking for more Daughtry? No. I did find another one of their albums in an op shop last year, and it is great. But I don't know it as well as this one, because I've had this one since year 7, which was over a decade ago. So the year I was given this album, at the time, I was in a friend group of 3 people, including myself, and for Christmas we decided that we would give gifts as pairs. So 2 of us would get gifts for that person, and then these 2 for that person, and those 2 for that person. And there were S and J and myself. And S and I had this really funny idea, and we put that together, and we did that for the other person. And when it came to be their time to give me something, the 2 of them, Jay had apparently decided that I wasn't going to get anything. She thought that would be funny to not give me anything. And S knew this was going to happen, so S actually brought in a couple of her own CDs to give me, and it was this one and the Transformers soundtrack, which is also really solid. That had some great songs on it, and a couple of those became favorites. But yeah, so this album is always going to be a bit special to me. And that person ended up leaving our school, so I lost contact with them. But I will always have this album. I'm not sure what my favorite song on this album is, but for many years it was What About Now, and it probably still is. Dashboard Confessional, Alter the Ending. I freaking love this album, and sometimes I go through patches where this is the only thing I will listen to. I'll listen to it all the way through in the morning, and then it'll get to the afternoon, I'll be like, I need to listen to something, but I'm not vibing with anything, and I will just listen to this album again. And sometimes that is all I can listen to for a solid week. It's so good. I don't really know. My favorite song on this one is either Get Me Right or Hell on the Throat, I think. I don't know, don't ask me for favorites, because I'm bad at favorites. I'm really bad at it. I've had this idea in my head for weeks, and did I plan? No, I didn't. I just picked up a bunch of albums and went here. And the next one is Flyleaf's self-titled album. Again, I grew up listening to this. Later. A bit later, but I did. For many years, my favorite song on this album was Cassie. I'm not religious, but for some reason, I latched on to Cassie. I don't know why. My dad listened to this album, and I was like, yeah, that's some good shit. And for some reason, we only listened to this album. We didn't listen to anything beyond it. Aside from Again, we did listen to Again off their second album, because it was on Guitar Hero. I do now have their second album, but I haven't listened to it much because I only got it a couple of months ago. But I think regardless of how much I listen to that one, this one's still going to be top. Not to be a cliche, but Green Day, American Idiot. I have tried to listen to some other Green Day. I do like a few other Green Day songs, but not as, full albums. This whole album is a fucking masterpiece. I would crawl on my hands and knees from one side of town to the other to defend this album. My favorite song on this one is What's Her Name, but Give Me Novocaine is a close second. It's freaking 8:30 at night. Why are you all driving like dickheads now? It's 8:30 at night on a fucking Tuesday. What are you doing? Go home. Shut up. James Blunt, back to Bedlam, because I am a sad, sad little human. And speaking of being sad, my favourite song on this one is Tears and Rain. However, this whole album, again, masterpiece, solid shit. You want to be depressed? Go listen to this. In a good way. Next, we have The Captain by Casey Chambers. What the fuck is this music taste? What is the range happening here? I don't know. I can't explain it. But now we're going country pop, I guess. My favourite song on this now is... oh god. My favourite song on this album jumps depending on what mood I'm in. I always have a soft spot for The Captain, but I like The Last Hard Bible. I think that's a very fun song. And I also, of course, love We're All Gonna Die Someday. That song in particular is what got me into this album. My mother loved this album. Well, my mother loves Casey Chambers. And she used to play this album when I was really little, like, really little. And I don't actually really remember much about that, but I do remember that my dad and we went to visit her one day, and we got to the door, and they were talking, and I was begging her to play that one Casey Chambers song. And that song was We're All Gonna Die Someday. I was like 5 or 6, and I was like, Mum, play the song about dying. And people are shocked I turned out the way I did. Next is One Republic Native. I feel like I would love One Republic if I could find their other albums. Any other song I've heard by them I do love, but I haven't heard a lot of them, and I don't have the other albums. I have this one, and again, sometimes I go through a thing where I'm just like, I need to listen to that album, and nothing else for 2 days. I don't know what my favourite song is on this one. It's probably the obvious ones, like all the obvious ones. Actually, hang on. You bastard. Doesn't have the fucking lyrics in there. If we're ignoring the obvious ones, Au revoir is probably my favorite song on this one. I like it. It's depressing. On the subject of depressing, my favorite Pink Floyd album. I know everyone loves The Wall and The Dark Side of the Moon. Honestly, they're not that great. They're okay, and they've got a couple of good songs on them each, but they're not that great. This album, though, this album is a fucking piece of art. It is a masterpiece. I know, I overuse the word masterpiece. I don't care. This album is fucking everything. It is a story. I love albums that tell a story. Like, what do you mean you're combining music and stories together? Amazing. Brilliant. More people need to appreciate this album. It is about PTSD, and there are a lot of references to suicide, and obviously I vibe with that. So I really got into this album, starting with the title song, The Final Cut, but I also really like Your Possible Pasts, and the album as a whole, I guess, because if you're going to listen to it, you got to listen to the whole thing, right? I don't know, you just do. Anyway, The Wall and The Dark Side of the Moon can fuck off. This needs more attention. It needs more appreciation. It needs the love it deserves. Speaking of love, Placebo, Loud Like Love. I swear I'm not doing this on purpose. I actually put them in alphabetical order by artist, and they just keep happening to connect like that. I don't know. But this album, fuck, I love this. I do like Placebo. I have 4 of their albums in total, and I do really like them, but I do not consider them a favorite band. This album, I would swallow gravel for this album. I love every song on this album, but Too Many Friends and Bosco are my favorites. Bosco fucks me up, though. I can't listen to that without crying. Like, really, just truly. I don't know if it's because of the way I connect with it, or if it's just a fucking heartbreaking, devastating, rip your heart out kind of song. Maybe it's a little bit of both, I don't know. Complete change of pace. Going back to country, Rascal Flatts changed. Why? I don't fucking know. Don't ask me. It's because of Come Wake Me Up. Also, I accidentally got my dad into this. My dad hates country, and but I got into this in my teens, and I somehow got him into it because of banjo, because I showed him banjo, and he was like, oh, it's got a banjo in it, that's really cool, and then he got into Rascal Flatts for a bit. It was weird. That was a weird time. But anyway, Come Wake Me Up, again, sobbing, absolutely sobbing, ruins me. But several songs on this album, I would eat you if you were food. Ow! Oh my god, my shoes are stuck to me. Oh, that hurt. Future Jake's gonna hate that. Dance break. My hair's really fluffy right now. I love it. I washed it today, now it's all... I love when it goes all floofy. Silver Sun Pickups, Neck of the Woods. Oh, God. I knew I was going to do that. I have a couple that I don't have CDs of. Now, I will come back to... I will do those at the end. Silver Sun Pickups, Neck of the Woods. I got into this song because at some point, years ago, I was scrolling through YouTube, clicking on any music video that looked like the song might be gay or queer in some way, and the music video for Dots and Dashes, Enough Already, gave that vibe. And I listened to that song, and it has had me in a chokehold ever since. Yeah. So I guess that's my favorite song as well, followed closely by The Pit. Sum 41, Underclass Hero. If you have shit relationships with your parents, this is the album for you. Yeah. Walking Disaster and Best of Me are my favorites on this one, but Best of Me is... yeah, you get the point. I couldn't do this video without talking about this album. I'm sorry. For some reason, I don't know. I haven't listened... I've listened to a couple of songs since this album, but I haven't listened to any albums since this album in full. I have the 2 albums before this on CD, but they're okay. They're okay. I get it, but this album, I don't know, man, I don't know. there's just something about this one that's just really Haunted and Enchanted are my two tied favorites on this one, I think. Yeah. The Pretty Reckless, Light Me Up. I love this album. I fucking love it. I love it. And I've listened to a couple of their songs from other albums, and I love them too. So why haven't I listened to more? I don't fucking know. I don't have the answers here. I do not have them. I don't think I have a favorite song on this album because, again, it's one of those, like, depends on what mood I'm in. Nothing Left to Lose is interesting, and it's one that people don't talk about much, so I'm gonna give that one a little shout out. But I also Just Tonight, yeah, I'm gonna go and scream about that in a minute. And the last physical CD I have is The Other Side by Tonight Alive, which, again, I've heard several songs off their first album, and I love them, and I love this album immensely. But I haven't listened to anything since this album, and I haven't listened to their first album in full, and this is the only album of theirs that I've listened to in full. I don't know why, considering the level that I feel, like, just how much I feel for this album. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of feelings about this album. I can't listen to it without crying. So there's that. That should tell you all you need to know. I have a lot of feelings about this album. We're matching. Also, part of the problem is that, like, part of the reason why I never really kept listening to Tonight Alive is because I heard one song that was past this album. I think it was on the Spider-Man soundtrack or something. Because that's what they were advertising it for, and there was a music video, and I listened to that, and it was horrible. And I hated it, and then I was just like, that's it, I don't need to listen to any more Tonight Alive, except for what I already know, which was this, and, like, maybe 5 other songs. I genuinely cannot give you a favorite song off this album, because it is almost all of them. I like Don't Wish, because it's like, wow, you wish shit to me, fuck you. And I hope you don't do that again to other people. I like Hell and Back because it is devastating and very, like, everything is traumatic. I like Complexes because it's complex. I like Come Home because it's fun. I think that was the first song I actually heard off this album. I like Say Please because that kind of speaks for itself. If you're gonna ask me for my time, at least say please, 'cause I'm not how I used to be, and these things get to me. And, like, You Don't Owe Me Anything, I can't really explain why, but the point is, like, this whole album is solid, and it's heartbreaking, and I can't listen to it without crying, and, it's really good. It's, if you've been traumatized, and, if you've been through trauma, this album makes a lot of sense. And I don't know, maybe you'll vibe with it too. See, I knew I was going to forget to include those other albums. That's why I was like, you should put something between them so you don't forget. And I was like, nah, it's fine, I have a list. And then completely ignored the list. As I knew I would. Stupid. I also have a couple of albums on this list that I do not have physical copies of because they're either really hard to track down or they don't have physical copies of them, and those are Get Some Scars by Lux Lisbon. My favorite song on that one is probably Keep Me Wild. Of Mice and Men's self-titled album, I think my favorite song off that one is This One's For You, but it's kind of a few of them, honestly. I just like that one line in that song. This is not pretend, don't play the end. I know you're real, not just a book I read. Solid. I know it's Shakespeare inspired. I'm not really that into Shakespeare. Unfortunately, I went to high school and Shakespeare has been ruined for me. Luckily, except for Macbeth, because we didn't do that in high school. Yay. But yeah, anyway. Fuck that. And also Shadow Zone by Static X, which I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite on that one. It changes. Yeah, so there's some favorite albums by non-favorite artists, and I hope this was at least somewhat interesting, or maybe you got a good recommendation or something from something in here. I don't know. Not just about got it. Oh, that's gonna be stuck in my head now. Anyway, as I said, I'm gonna try and come back and be like consistent and stuff. Shit keeps happening, so I don't know how consistent, but I'm aiming to do something. As I said with my original plan, every Tuesday, I'm aiming for Tuesdays, and hopefully it'll happen at least most weeks. I don't know, I've got a few videos lined up, but if there's anything specific that you want me to do, let me know. I'm also thinking of doing something a little bit similar, but it's albums that I can't listen to without crying. Or maybe also like songs that make me cry. But yeah, I might do both of those at some point. I don't know. Thanks for watching. And do you have any favorite albums by non-favorite artists? And are you into any of these? I don't know. I don't know what I just did with my hands. Anyway, bye.